All right, welcome to SocalSportsReport.com's weekly podcast. I am John Stellman, along with Vince Morales and Jake Formansky. We got so much to talk about tonight. We probably need 2 hours, but we'll try to jam it into an hour. Before we do get started, I just want to remind you again, be on the show. We can't take direct calls right now. That's right around the corner. Go to the icon on the homepage, click on that, send us a voicemail. We've got a couple of callers already, and we'll play that call the following week and answer your questions, concerns, comments. So please participate in the show if possible. Okay, we'd like to start off with the Lakers, who opened camp today. First preseason game is Friday at Anaheim against Minnesota, I believe. So I know we'll have a lot better idea next week on what they look like after we see them perform. But I'm a little excited about exhibition games, which I generally am not.
Yeah, with a team this young, the more reps, the more minutes, the more real type of play that they get, exactly, the better. I mean, this team is. We don't have to spell it out. I mean, they are young. I mean, they're exactly. young, a lot of experience. So the more touches that Lonzo Ball gets in preseason, and the more that some of the up and comers, Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram, and even a guy like Zubats, who looked, like we said, terrible in summer league. He's still getting the timing down with a guy like Ball, who really rifles those balls and gets the ball into your hands before you're really ready. So the more reps, the more minutes, I'm looking forward to it too. Yeah,
I see where Ingram is already saying I want to lead this team in scoring, and I think I can with the ball I'm going to get from Alonzo. Mm-hmm. He's expecting a lot of passes, and I think it's going to be exciting. Like you say, they're young, they're going to make mistakes, they're not going to win a lot of games, but it's not going to be dull. They're not going to be walking up and down the court. They're going to be moving. And I think this plays into what Luke Walton wants to do. He wants to move the team, and I think with the youth, you got to expect the youth to be make mistakes, but they're going to grow, they're going to get better, and hopefully they'll show enough that will encourage maybe some of the free agents that are out next year to take a look at the Lakers as an option.
Right, and one of the things that was going on today after their first practice. Walton came out and said that the biggest focus of their first practice together, official practice, was defense. And again, these are kids who like to talk about scoring and assisting, exactly, diamond and that sort of thing. And Walton really wants to ground them and say, you got to get back on defense, because you play good defense and you can run and you can break. And that's where Lonzo Ball in transition is going to get everybody easy points. But you don't get that when you're inbounding the ball from a dead stop after a score
your
opponents.
Going to that defensive glass and, getting that ball off the board and getting it outside gets you moving. When's the last time the Lakers were decent defensively? I can't remember. Phil Jackson was no defensive genius.
No, but even then, they had guys like during championship seasons like Artest, who were role players who could play good defensively. Kobe Bryant clearly was a defensive player of the year at 1 or 2 points in his career. So there were always guys, and even Shaq, they had a rim protector in Shaq. And it was always about team defense more. I think is what was lacking. From that, there was always a couple of guys who were going to be pretty good. I'm not sure where the defense is going to come from with this team, frankly, and that's why Vegas figures that they're going to win 30-ish games.
Well, that would be an improvement over last year.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're going in the right direction too. I mean, like we said, they're young, and it's now Laker fans can be excited because it's not that dark cloud anymore. There's sort of a light that's kind of at the end of the tunnel now.
Exactly.
Right. And I love that the focus is defense because this team seems inherently to look like at some point it's going to be a very good offensive team. They just need time. They need time to to get cohesive and to get consistent. But that's going to come. I think everybody just needs to temper those expectations.
Yeah,
like we've said before, somewhere between 30 and 40 wins is a successful season.
That would be a great season
for the Lakers.
Yeah.
That's something to be overjoyed about. And the closer that is to 40, and even if they're just on the outside of the playoff picture looking in, that's huge. A huge improvement.
Yeah,
huge. Because it's been a bad team.
Exactly. They've lost now 3 of their top 4 scorers. Lou Williams is gone. D'Angelo Russell is gone. Nick Young's gone. Clarkson's the only one that's back. Who's going to score?
It's a good question. It remains to be seen, but obviously Ingram thinks that the mantle can be passed to him. Randall's going to be able to get you some points, and Lopez is there for double digits, and and now with Bogut, that looks like you can get 20 points out of your center position, out of your 5 position, and that's good. That's good for the Lakers. Power forward with Randall. It just depends on who else they're going. Who's going to play? Is it going to be Kuzma? Is it going to be? Are they going to Thomas Bryant going to play a little power forward? Because he runs the floor well. He's just not a big body right now. He protects the rim pretty well. Luol Deng, is sort of that in between 3 and 4. What is where is he going to be? Is he going to get minutes, or
I wish he was somewhere else.
Yeah, they're going to move him in that big contract. So it remains to be seen. Clarkson looks like he's on the outside, sort of looking in. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, should be scoring. Clarkson's going to be the 6th man, I think, off the bench. So it's a lot depends on whether Ball can get the rock in their hands.
What realistically, what are we looking for from Lonzo this year? I mean, there's so much hype and so much off the court stuff. What would be? I assume he's going to be passing that ball. He's going to be focusing on getting his teammates in good scoring positions. But what would be a good season for him? Do you think he's going to score a lot, or is it going to be more getting his teammates involved in the high assists?
For me, and I think I tend to be a little bit more of a realistic Laker fan. If we see 10 points, 6 to 7 assists, 4 rebounds, a couple of steals, I think that's a successful season. That's a great season.
That'd be good, yeah.
I think to expect 15 or 20 out of him, maybe on a given night here or there, sure. But his 3-point shot still needs work. So to me, 10, 7, 4, 2, I'm happy with that.
Yeah. That would suffice. Talking about a Laker-related issue, Carmelo goes to OKC, so they've got a 3-headed monster there. Do you think that should they have a decent season and make maybe a couple of runs in the playoff would prevent Paul George from thinking twice about coming to LA?
It may be. I don't know that there's anybody who's ever played with Carmelo who hasn't wanted to escape.
Well, that's true.
So,
yeah.
Well, they're basically the same position anyway, aren't they? No. Carmelo and George.
Well, they're scorers,
Yeah.
and Carmelo doesn't like to give the ball up. So, on paper, looks great.
Maybe
I think in practice, not so much.
Maybe that'll help George decide to leave.
And I just think too, with George, talking about how he wants to be a Laker and how he loves Kobe, I just still think he's in OKC, but I think the next step is just going west with him. I couldn't see him staying in OKC to finish out his career, especially with because Carmelo is a cancer, I feel like.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are plenty of New York Knicks fans that would absolutely agree with you. I thought Melo had a great thing going in Denver, and I never understood.
Yeah,
I never understood that. I never really could figure out what was going on there. And then for him to be the matchup, Phil Jackson.
No, that's not going to work.
That was never, ever going to work.
No, that was doomed.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be excited to watch that game Friday and have a lot more next week when we have one exhibition game under our skin. We ready for a little Dodger talk?
Sure.
We probably should have mentioned the Clippers, but they're in Hawaii, and they get started this week too. They've got a couple of new additions, but we'll wait and see how they look in the games over there, and then make some comments on that next week. The Dodgers are having problems with Yasiel again. He's creating headlines with not hustling to second base and then showing up late for early batting practice.
Mm-hmm. I'm a Puig fan, especially with the way that he's playing this year. Mm-hmm. To me, again, I'm going to be the grouchy guy who says, Roberts, you're the adult in this scenario. Dave Roberts, you're the adult. Handle it privately. Don't throw the kid under the bus. Mm-hmm. You need him psychologically to be on track with everybody, because defensively he is head and shoulders above everybody and anybody you can be out there. And you're going to have to play him in every single playoff game, regardless, because of that defense. You just are. And you need to keep look, he's not an all-star type person who you have to, bend over backwards for, but just handle it internally, If he says, look, I don't even know what his story was about the whole stealing second in a close game, getting thrown out at second and not sliding. Right. He claims his ankle was hurt, and then, he missed a game, and he's back in the lineup tonight. But again, it's one of those things where the Dave Roberts that I've seen throughout the year who just keeps pounding in, guys like Utley and Forsythe when they just weren't hitting the ball, and Grandal and Granderson when they just weren't hitting the ball, right, he would bend over backwards for those guys. Mm-hmm. And he just doesn't do that with Puig. So to me, it's, even if Puig is not the guy you want to do favors for, just be the adult, be the coach in this situation, right, and talk to him privately, but publicly let everybody know that you need him. You need him right now. You need him in the playoffs. You need him going forward. Yeah. Whether that's the reality or not, or whether, I don't care if Dave Roberts is tired of him. They need him.
He threw a little fuel on the fire himself. Roberts did when Puig didn't slide, and he, like you say, he said it was the ankle or leg.
Puig complained that it was the
Puig.
ankle.
And then Roberts made sure he mentioned that he got no treatment for it after the game. Why would you do that?
And that's one thing, I harp on Socal a lot, but that's one thing I do like about Socal, and I get it. He's, been around forever, but he keeps everything internally.
That's right. That's
one thing that I do like about it is it's a closed clubhouse. You're never going to know. I mean, the only thing that, came out of a clubhouse was that Jose Guillen thing, 10, 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. But other than that, he keeps everything close. And I just felt like Dave Roberts kind of handled that thing totally inappropriately. Yeah. It was just, and then for, the sports radio, today, kind of come out saying, is Puig even going to make the playoff roster? It's like, really? You need him to make, you need him in right.
Yeah, that's just a nonsense take. It's just an absolute nonsense take. You can't take your absolute best defensive player and do something other than put him in the lineup every day. Mm-hmm. Right. And even if there are pitchers who complain that, I don't like the way he catches the ball with one hand, or I don't like the way he doesn't hit the cutoff man. It's like, you know what? You want him on that wall. Yeah. You need him on that wall.
Exactly.
So I know he drives Alex Wood crazy, but he drives a lot of people crazy. But it's always worth it when he's making those diving catches and to save games. And he saved a lot of games. He defensively, is well above, anybody else.
Yeah, he's
going to be a Gold Glove winner.
If he was hitting 0, you'd still need him in the lineup.
Yeah,
just for his defense. Mm-hmm. He'll save more runs than he'll drive in a lot of times. Mm-hmm. He's got to be out there.
He's definitely above anything Granderson could offer. For God's sake,
we still don't understand that deal, really.
No.
What do you think about the we move into the playoffs? The Dodgers, it looks like they're going to get either Colorado or Arizona, although Milwaukee is only 1.5 behind Colorado right now. Do they have a preference they would probably rather, I would think, play Colorado. They had more success against them.
Well, I think that's true. Though playing in Colorado, I mean, nobody ever really likes to play in Colorado. But as far as the pitching staff, you don't want to see, Greinke, Ray, and Godley. You just don't. That's a better.
That's a good staff.
That's a deeper, longer staff than the Dodgers have. But that's what they're going to see. And I mean, there's just no two ways about it. That's what they're going to see.
Ray,
regardless of whether it's the Rockies or the Brewers overtake them, it's just not going to happen. It's going to be Arizona.
Yeah, I think Arizona's going to beat whoever they play anyway. So Greinke will probably go in that first game, and then Ray will go in the first game against the Dodgers, and probably the fifth game. And I had some stats here. In 5 games against the Dodgers this year, he's 3-0.
Yeah, he's been terrific.
2.27 ERA, and he's got 53 strikeouts in 31 innings against the Dodgers. And he would go in 1-5 probably if that were to that matchup occurs.
No, it absolutely shakes out perfectly for Arizona.
And then Greinke would be game 3 probably in Arizona.
Yeah.
Which is scary too.
So that
Greinke can be had. Greinke can be had. He's sort of a mental midget, and
they tattooed him earlier this year.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the one thing though that is interesting about the Diamondbacks is almost all their starters, because they were, there's questions about their bullpen and how it's not as deep and, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of their starters will go 7 or 8 innings.
Yeah.
And, they're going to go deep into games. And I think that, kind of has the advantage over the Dodgers a little bit just because, they're not going to be coming out, in the 5th or the 6th. They're going to be riding them all the way till, late in the game.
And generally speaking, I think that's right. This is still a team, the Dodgers, that is 9 to 10 games better than Arizona.
Yeah.
They were, for a reason. Arizona has solved a lot of those problems. Obviously picking up Martinez and shoring some things up in there, and their staff has helped them. But it's not going to be a walkover regardless. I mean, there's going to be some amazing playoffs, in the National League.
Should be, yeah.
Cubs Nationals is going to be terrific.
Right.
The Nationals have got to be thinking, boy, we have, spent so much money in establishing this team. The planets seem to be aligning with their starters. Yeah. They need to win.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. They need to win.
Yeah. One other stat: the Dodgers lost 6 out of 9 in Arizona. They were 3-6 in Arizona this year and split at home.
Yeah, but also the thing to remember is 3 of those games came in the middle of that. Their amazingly poor performance. So there are 3 games in there that. Again, that was their top 3 pitchers. The Dodgers were reeling, and
they didn't even throw those guys in that series, did they?
They did in that one series. That's what the series that they swept them in Arizona was Greinke, Ray, and Godley.
And the postseason's another season. I mean, so all these stats, once October hits, it's going to be, throw them out the window.
Yeah, just ask Kershaw.
Yeah, yeah.
The Dodgers are still having a little bit of competition with Cleveland for that best record, seasonal record for Game 7 in the World Series. Dodgers 157 and Cleveland 98-58. So they're only a game and a half back. And that's another interesting thing because that's something that we wouldn't be concerned about last year when the All-Star game determined the winner. And now maybe Dave Roberts has to think about winning these games instead of resting some of his starters.
Maybe. I don't think that's how Roberts thinks at all about whether or not they're going to play home games in the World Series. I think once you start thinking about that, you get lost. You lose the now, and they need to win the NLDS. Yeah. And then and then the next thing is the NLCS. They don't need to worry about home field advantage. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it's what you were experimenting with lineups, on it when you lost 16 out of 17 games. So
That's
if
true.
you know what, if you weren't worried about it then, don't worry about it now.
Yeah.
you get where you get what you get, and that's it. Roberts was key injuries to Bellinger and Seager during that 16 out of 17. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't a lot that he could do, but the fact that he, when Bellinger did come back in, he had him at first and then in center, and he had him all over. It was just it just seemed like, wow, that's a second year manager. Dave Roberts still needs to learn how to manage. And then when he keeps throwing like Pedro Baez, I just keep wondering. It's like, and Granderson. I mean, Granderson's a veteran, so I get you keep trotting him out there because you want him to get his swing back. But what if he doesn't get a swing back? And what if he gets mired deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into that slump? And now it's in his head. Well, that's the deal with Pedro Baez, right? And last night it was like, okay, Maeda, we're going to use you out of the bullpen, and this is the experiment. And they trot him out there, and it doesn't do very well out of the bullpen. Too many, this is not about trickeration or anything. This is about getting your best guys, throwing your best guys, getting it deep into the game, and then getting your setup guys to get the ball to Jansen.
Yep.
And I think too, managers, it's 2 seasons. Managers, for this regular season are coaching, egos and playing with the egos a little bit, and then once you get into the postseason, a manager's job is just to win games. Okay. I think that whole regular season you're figuring out what to do with egos and stuff like that, but once you get into the postseason, your job is to win games and see who the what the pieces are to fit.
I honestly have no idea what Roberts is going to do with his postseason roster. No idea. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to put Ethier on there. I don't know if Gonzalez is going to have a spot. I think we probably know that Granderson is there, which I think is just it's shameful because he's been awful. He's been awful, and it's terrible. But Ethier and Gonzalez, these guys, you're trying to be loyal to these guys, and Ethier's been better than Gonzalez, but Gonzalez is nowhere near. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not. If there was no emotion put into it, Gonzalez doesn't make a playoff roster at all. Not in my book.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Not in my opinion.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
You get, Bellinger's a much better defensive player right now. Got better range, and he's better at first base. Yeah. And the last time you put him in the outfield, in right field in a position he'd never played, he hurt himself. And now he's in center and left, and I don't know.
It's almost like spring training.
Yeah, I mean, he's younger and hungrier.
Let's talk a little bit about the Angels. They're on life support.
It's about done.
But Vince pointed out a good article. Was that in Deadspin?
Deadspin, yeah.
Yeah, on Norris. Mm-hmm. A $500,000 bonus if you make 60 relief appearances. Right now he's at 59 appearances, but only 57 in relief. I don't see any reason for using him. I mean, he was initially your closer.
Right.
The games are meaningless now.
Right.
Why would you want to?
Yeah.
Want to use him?
The issue that Deadspin had with it was they said, look, it's just coincidence.
Oh yeah.
That we said who's going to start the next game, and they pointed to him, even though he's been coming out of the bullpen, and it was like, well. So now you've essentially used him up. Now he for sure can't relieve in those days. Right. And, it's crazy like a fox. Trust me, there was nothing coincidental about them looking down and saying, well, Norris is going to go.
He's been a starter.
Oh, but how many has he started this year?
Before he got to
I understand that. But what I'm saying, Deadspin's issue with it was he was, 5 relief appearances away with 20 games to go when you decide to start him, knowing full well that that's a 5-6 day stretch where he's not going to be able to be used when you might have used him out of the bullpen once or twice.
And that's what was kind of interesting, because when they were talking about who they're going to fill in, I thought they were going to bring back Chavez.
Right.
And then they bring back Norris, and I just kind of thought, oh, that's a little interesting. And then all of a sudden, I read the same article. I'm going, oh, well, now it makes sense.
He started all those bullpen games.
Yeah.
All the bullpen games they've had, he's been the starter. And
I mean, and Chavez wasn't a bad starter throughout the year. He just wouldn't get any run support.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting that all of a sudden now all this stuff comes out about, he can make $500,000.
The guy's not going to be here next year. I'm sure, he wants to take a look at, Bailey's out, but he wants to look at Parker. He wants to look at Bedrosian, maybe that Noel Ramirez. If you're looking to build your bullpen for next year, I mean, Norris isn't going to be on the team next year.
No.
I don't see any reason.
Yeah, Detzman just thought it was dirty pool. If you're an Angels fan and you're thinking, God, we can save $750,000 by not throwing Bud Norris or Chavez, to get him his. I think the other $250,000 was something to do with a couple of other your pitchers. Then you say that's $750,000 that we can save to pay somebody else. I get it. It's not real loyal. Detzman thinks it's a dirty pool, but if you're an Angels fan, it's like, save your pennies, man. You got to sign Upton and maybe Phillips and
maybe Moustakas. I mean, there's a lot of you're gonna have $54 million to play around with next year. I mean, I want to save it all.
I just
but pitching might be the better place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But again, all I'm saying is that it's not that I disagree with that. I just thought it was very interesting. The thing is that if I'm a free agent and I have incentives in my contract, and you did that to Bud Norris, am I going to sign with you? Because I know now that you're not very loyal. All I'm saying is that you do that once, and free agents get a whiff of it. And if I have incentives in my contract, maybe I'm not going to sign with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe yes, maybe no. I mean, I don't know if the Angels were playing meaningful games. I think you would probably see Norris in there.
Yeah,
but there's no reason at this point in the season when you got other guys you want to look at, and he's not going to be part of your bullpen next year.
Well, how many games out of the wild card are you?
5.
Oh, it's gone.
They're done. They basically have to win out and hope that Minnesota, I think, loses 4 out of the next 6 or whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, games pitched incentives are just the worst because you personally as a player have no control over them. That's like flipping a coin.
Mm-hmm.
It's different if you say, oh well, if I make the All-Star game or whatever, that you have a little control over. You pitch better, you pitch well, you might get in the All-Stars. But number of games, that's a tough incentive for a pitcher. That's just tough because it's not on you. You can pitch well, or pitch reasonably well, and think you're going to get to that a not unreasonable 60 threshold of relief appearances and get the bonus.
Well, in the same time too, did he really deserve it? I mean, he how many blown saves did he have when we needed those games?
2 Grand Slam home runs that lost in ball games, which could have made a difference in the wild card.
Difference,
yeah. In the last inning. How about the Trojans?
Hey, they got a W.
They decided to kick it into gear in the second half.
6 takeaways. That
was great.
I think if you're a Cal fan, you think, oh, we gave that game away. And I think a lot of times that's how it sort of felt. But USC is a very good defensive team. And, you don't get like a strip fumble, right at the goal line because you're lucky.
That's right.
I mean, he didn't just... he didn't just drop that ball. Bowers didn't just drop that ball.
Yeah.
I mean, he got it stripped.
Yeah.
And some of his passes were, the turnovers were bad, but other times, it was good coverage, and the defense has played pretty well. It's going to be a tough road to hoe in the Palouse and Pullman.
Yeah, that's going to be
this week, short week, Friday night game.
Yeah.
I still feel very confident that USC is going to win that game, but Luke Falk is. He's
good.
77% completion.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's ridiculous. Okay, again, it's Montana State. The Boise State was a good win, but again, they were behind, so he had to just completely. And then a bad Oregon State team. That is a bad that they dropped 50 on, and then Nevada Reno.
Yeah,
that's not the cream of the crop, and USC's. A much better team, and so But USC saw what an inspired team like Cal on their home field can do to you for at least a half.
That was a good test for them going into to Washington State.
Mm-hmm. But it's very clear that a team like Cal just does not have the type of talent. Washington State is in the top 20. They're 16. They're 16. They're ranked 16.
Yeah.
It's going to be a different environment up there. And we just hope that the weather is not foggy and cold and rainy. Because Darnold needs all the help he can get. I mean, Darnold, look, you can't complain too much about a guy who's won 13 consecutive games as a starter. He's a redshirt sophomore, so you have to temper any negative comments. But we're talking 9 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He had 9 interceptions all last year.
Right.
Is he improving? I think most Trojan fans would say, well, he's winning, but he hasn't looked a lot better than he was last year. Mm-hmm. And not just that, but he doesn't see, he's not making great decisions at the line. He's not making great decisions on reading his coverages. And you're thinking, wow, he should be better at that. Yeah. There was a couple of plays where he should have just checked off of what was given him. Mm-hmm. I mean, you absolutely had to look at that and go, you know what? That's the wrong call. Mm-hmm. That's the wrong play. Sorry, T. Martin, you called the wrong play. Now, T. Martin likes to sit there and say, well, it was all about execution against Texas. I called the right plays. It was all about execution. Exactly. Yeah, that's bull crap. Yeah. Right? That's T. Martin, saving his skin. 13 on the Wonderlic. T. Martin, thinks he's a genius because he can call some plays. Yeah. But sometimes if Sam Darnold needs to say, yeah, that's a 13 in the Wonderlic up in the OC box, I better check off this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And then he's made some bad reads, some bad reads, and he hasn't been seeing things. And again, Wilcox, who was the defensive coordinator for USC, really had a good plan against him, but Darnold looked uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And I think now everybody knows how to defense him a little bit. He's going to make great plays he doesn't have great receivers. He's got one great receiver in Deontay Burnett, who's a little dinged up, held out of practice today or yesterday, maybe both days. And Jones was held out of, so they had 4 starters that were held out against Cal, and they still came away with 6 takeaways. Ronald Jones was out. There was some stuff happening for them, but against Washington State, they're going to get a few of those guys back. It looks like Stephen Mitchell is still out, who's one of their better wide receiver options, and it looks like Porter Gustin on defense is still doubtful. They said they've listed Deontay Burnett as questionable, and Vallis Jones, another wide receiver, and said Ware. Questionable. And then a bunch of those guys that were lost, Rasheem Green on the defensive line is probable. Ajene Harris, who had to come out of the game against Cal, he's questionable. They list Ronald Jones as probable, rather. Nwosu, who's probable. And these guys, they're dinged up, and it's a short week, and they need to be better.
Yeah, that's going to be.
Do you think it's going to be a high-scoring affair?
I do. I do. Washington State doesn't know how to do low scoring. Mm-hmm. You complete 77% of your passes, even if they're only 4 yards downfield, or you throw them on little flats and slants. I think the thing we know is that USC is not going to take the ball away 6 times. They're going to have to make some stands, but I don't even know what the over-under in that game is. It's got to be close to 65 or something.
And a half, probably, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be...
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of points.
It's going to be a lot of points. Yeah. But USC has not had great first halves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they took page out of Cal's book, though, because Cal's one team that has had great second halves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, boy, they just shut them down. Mm-hmm. That's got them 17-7 in the second half, and Cal's won all their games basically with big second half. So they made the adjustments, and they decided, let's get this thing together. And
but I think the thing to remember with Cal is that they just don't have the horses.
No.
I'm not sure that Wazoo does either, but they've got one at the quarterback.
Yeah.
Quarterback position, he's a hoss. And they got some skilled players. And but if it's a shootout, that's USC. They've just got more talent.
Yeah. Plus they played tougher schedule.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tougher schedule. Stephen Carr had a nice day.
He's been great. He's been terrific.
20 for 129 rushing and 6 for 82 passing, 211 yards. Are you a bit surprised by? Did you think that we'd see this much out of him this early? I mean, he's only a freshman.
I did think we'd see him being dialed up. I saw a lot of the video from spring practice and the fall when he was out. There just was no way that he was going to be sitting the bench.
Right.
So I knew he was going to get a lot of snaps. But would I have expected that maybe he would have been the first choice over a Ced Ware, who's a veteran?
Exactly.
No.
Yeah.
But he is just such a dynamic guy. He can catch the ball. He can block
changer.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot coming. He did fumble against Cal.
Right.
Lost a fumble against Cal, and that's the one thing that you got to guard against with freshmen. But he hasn't looked like the guy who's just going to keep turning it over. He makes good decisions. He makes and he makes people miss. Mm-hmm. Oh God, he makes people miss.
Yeah. UCLA's defense was looks like a train wreck. I think
125 out of 130 in total defense in Division I.
Brutal.
They've given up 2,100 yards in 4 games. That's 525 yards a game. They're 129 out of 130 teams in yards allowed rushing per game. They're giving up 300 yards a game rushing. Yeah, they've given up by 1,200 and something yards on the ground.
Is Tom Bradley on the hot seat?
He's got to be. He's got to be.
I mean, that's ridiculous. How long can this go on? I mean, you can't make excuses every week.
No.
I mean, teams are just running at will. It's I don't know if he's got a lot of people banged up, but you just can't keep doing that week after week.
It's the front seven. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm looking at the numbers for the passing yards per game. And again, you have to take this with a grain of salt. Right. The teams that have been playing USC have not had to throw the ball as much because they're gaining so much yardage on the ground. But their passing defense is ranked 55th. That's just one notch behind USC's passing defense. USC's 54. Wow. So it's not the DBs.
Yeah,
it's not. They're doing a pretty good job. Mm-hmm. But I mean, my God. Rosen has threw the ball 59 times versus Texas A&M. He threw it 56 times versus Memphis. He threw it 60 against Stanford. 60. I mean, I know that's great. He leads the nation in passing yardage. He leads the nation in touchdowns.
Yeah.
But that's not how you win in the Pac-12.
No. Stanford had 405 yards rushing. And that Bryce Love had 263 just by himself. Mm-hmm. There's just too many holes.
Look, they're going to win games. They're going to win games. I expect them completely to absolutely beat Colorado at home. I'm calling that now. The UCLA will beat Colorado at home. If they don't, it's going to be if Colorado racks up. 500 yards on offense. I don't think they win. I think UCLA wins.
Close.
But that's Tom Bradley is not the mayor.
No.
Of
Might be
LA.
everybody on the hot seat if they lose to Colorado.
It's really been sort of strange. But again, if you're a UCLA fan, don't panic. You've got Rosen, Jamambo ran for 100 yards. There's some things that are looking up.
Right.
Obviously Rosen's receivers are catching balls. because he throws so much. Maybe there's some adjustments to be made. If I don't know UCLA closely enough to know whether or not this is just personnel. This is just the wrong personnel.
Right. Yeah.
It seems to be a really lethal combination of both personnel and scheme.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the thing that UCLA fans have to fear.
Yeah.
Because that looks like that feels like a 6-5 season.
Mm-hmm.
And if one of those wins isn't against USC, then it's a failed season.
It's going to be
And if it's not 6-5, and you don't make the play, you don't make a bowl game again. Eesh.
Yeah. Not good for
No.
a head coach.
No. They got to be scratching their head. I mean, I think that they feel like they're getting the right recruits. They feel like they're doing it, but it's something that we talked about with Chris Foster here. These are all Morris guys.
Yeah,
it's Morris' team now.
Yeah.
These are all his.
Right.
And this is what you're seeing, right? He doesn't have to. He can't fall back on what Neuheisel.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neuheisel's guys are gone. You were winning with Neuheisel's guys, and you're not winning with your own.
Yep.
So.
Yep. It's on him.
Yeesh.
All right. Well, the Rams tried to lose one, but failed.
They tried.
But, it was nice.
The onside kick. First of all, you've got to have guys that are smarter than a bag of doorknobs, right?
Exactly.
On the return team. You got to know. Okay, if he kicks it in the air, you can call a fair catch, and you can't be hit. But if he pounds that ball into the ground, you got to go and get that ball, because that guy was just standing there like, they can't hit me. They can hit you because that ball hit the ground first.
Yeah.
So I mean, if he had popped it up, then they got to give you a chance to catch it. But
exactly, that's.
But not. He pounded that right into the ground. It was perfect. And if he had gone to like the attack at a high point rather than wait for it to come down, it still would have been close.
Yeah.
Because it was a good kick and it was good coverage.
Yeah, yeah.
But they were standing around. I mean, that's just dumb, because that's one of the guys they kept. Was the guy who was the interim coach when Fisher got fired.
Right. Yeah.
And I can't remember his name, but he's the special teams coach. And he's one of the only guys that they held over. Oh boy, that was bad.
I could not believe that.
They're in first place. The Rams are in first place in the West.
Yeah, well, and you said last week going into Dallas they had to win this one.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They did. They tried very hard not to, but they did.
There were some good positives. Goff looked good again.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
22 out of 28 for 292, 3 TDs and no interceptions. Mm-hmm. He's had a couple of good. He's had 3 pretty decent games.
He has. He absolutely has. In fact, he's one of the top 6 in passing yardage, behind Brady, Rodgers, Breeze, Matt Ryan, and Eli Manning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there's Jared Goff.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing that makes Rams fans drool and say, wow, this kid's only scratched the surface.
Yeah, he's only going to get better. And,
well, hopefully.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that opens it up for Gurley, who had a nice game.
Yeah, no, Gurley played well. I thought Sammy Watkins, too, is starting to, show up.
He's starting to get comfortable with the system. Yeah, that was a scare, but I was glad to see them come out with a win on that one.
The USA Today power ranking has them at 12.
Mm-hmm.
Rams?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Started the season 28th.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad.
I mean, so that trajectory that's headed the right way.
Yeah, that's good.
Dallas is an 8-point favorite. I think that's a lot of points to give this team. Dallas is very good. I mean, they're a very good team.
Right.
Good defensive team, and they might cause some fits, for the running game and getting pressure on Goff. But I'm sitting here realistically, and not like I've been drinking the Kool-Aid. I think they can win that game. That'd be a tough win on the road. It would be very tough. But I don't think they're 8-point dogs.
No.
But that's what Vegas has it at. They're 8-point dogs. But you gotta avoid things like the Ethan Westbrooks thing. I mean, getting arrested again.
Oh, wasn't that a beauty?
Yeah. Speeding with a gun in the car. Yeah.
How smart is that? He's
Not-
no Rhodes Scholar. That's
No.
for sure.
No.
God,
So
no.
his second arrest in what? The last 6 months?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
Yeah.
That's not a great
No.
thing to happen. Chargers 0-3 for the first time since 2003. Great start for them. I can see the fans are still flocking to StubHub at the rate of 25,000
Yeah.
a game.
The thing that I will say is that the Chargers fans were louder on Sunday than I've heard them. Even though it looked like it was going to be, I think they
sure
they
you didn't
took
confuse them with
they took it to heart. No,
Miami?
there were a couple of times when the Chiefs
Or Chiefs
had to the Chiefs had to really get it going. It's a small place, and when a crowd is motivated, even though it was sort of cut down the middle, it's probably about 50-50. There was a loud Charger contingent at their own
That's encouraging.
stadium. Yeah, and that was encouraging.
That's good.
That was the most promising thing in that 24-10 loss, at least that I saw.
Yeah, that
Younghoe Koo made a field goal. That's good. I mean, that's
Starting to
promising.
look up, yeah.
But Rivers looked old. Looked old.
Yeah, he's lost a step. I mean,
He looks old, and he doesn't look like he's on the same page either. I mean, still, watching that game on Sunday, you looking at the play calling, he still has questions about, like, they're still not all there yet.
right.
It's just, I don't know, it was weird. It's like, we're approaching week 4, you'd start to kind of know the system a little bit. Which, I mean, I get it takes time, but he just didn't look comfortable either. And he has lost a step, but he also just doesn't look comfortable.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You get a little old, you lose a step, and then your offensive line has lost a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you've got, a receiving core that, are they running the right routes? What's going on? I mean, that first Rivers interception, that was rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a rookie pass. I mean,
He's not a 13-year veteran.
oh no.
No.
Oh my God, it looked bad. I mean, there's just no question. But I mean, if you're a Chargers fan, are you cheering for Kellen Clemens? I mean, is that what you want? I don't know. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's very bad. And so we get to a point where it's, must win. It's Philadelphia.
Is that a road game or
No, that's home.
home game?
It's another home game. And Philadelphia's good.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia's a very good team. And
Yeah,
defensively, they could
solid.
give them fits. Yeah.
Could be a tough.
And like we said last week, it doesn't get easier. So it's Philadelphia at home. You got to win a home game. You got to win a home game. You go 1-3. There's a little hope, but then you're at New York, beatable. But New York's very good defensively.
Yeah.
So you're on the road the next week, and then the following week you're at Oakland.
Yeah, that's not going to be a pretty picture. Yeah.
And then you go 0-6 before you host Denver and then go to New England. That could easily be 0-8.
Mm-hmm.
That could easily be 0-8.
You got to look at the bright side. The Chargers could end up with a number 1 pick.
It's true.
Sam Darnold might be a LA Charger.
I know. But that's one of those things where, I look at Darnold and I think, God, wow. I wouldn't want to be the team that that picked him first overall.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when there's the kid from Wyoming who everybody thinks is just as good, and then there's Rosen. Oh my God, yeah. For the Chargers, there's not a lot of good things that can happen. from this point. And now all the talk, and now they've started on 3, there's all this talk about, and again, I think some of this is nonsense, but the talk is there. I mean, the rumors are there that the NFL wants them to go make nice with San Diego and go back and play there. Because the crowds have just been an embarrassment at StubHub. And again, I don't know where these rumors are coming from. I'm just saying that people are reporting it. They're being reported as rumors. They're not being attributed to anybody distinctly and specifically.
Right.
And a lot of that, I think it's nonsense. There's no reason to go back to San Diego to play in an obsolete stadium, and it's the reason you left, for a group of fans who wouldn't give you a stadium and are rooting for you to lose. There's no reason to go back. No, it's done. You've broken up with that girl. You don't go back to her.
You don't go back to her. Yeah.
Especially, too, I heard that for the first game, that parking was $100 for the Charger game.
Parking?
Mm-hmm. Around the stadium, there were some lots that were $100. So if they go 0-8, there's going to be nobody at those games anymore.
Holy smokes.
Anthony Lynn's going to be parking cars.
Yeah.
They go 0-8.
That's right.
I wanted to talk about something that just came down that could be a big story and could affect, which is the FBI arrests of 4 college basketball coaches connected to fraud and corruption. And one of them is Tony Bland, the assistant coach for the USC Trojans. And it looks like Pitino may be going down at Louisville for this as well. There are assistant coaches.
What's basically the story now?
The story is that they've been following this, and they had an informant who the FBI had placed, so Tony Bland and the guy from Louisville, and then also Chuck Person, former NBA star, they are funneling. They're being paid. They're being bribed to funnel kids towards agents and money managers and financial advisors, and also Adidas is involved as well. Oh. So it's a bribery. I think the best way that I think the best way to describe it is sort of the way that it's here. The FBI and the district attorney, where the charges were filed and the indictments came down, showed that there were these financial managers and advisors sort of at the top of the list, and they were bribing Chuck Person, Lamont Evans, Emmanuel Richardson, and Tony Bland, these college coaches, assistant college coaches, who were putting pressure on players and their families to sign with these managers and these advisors. So money was being given to these coaches. Money was changing hands and getting in the hands of these parents as well. Wow. And Adidas is involved as well, because they wanted these, blue chip recruits to go to Adidas schools. Schools that are sponsored by Adidas, and then end up with these hand-picked managers and financial advisors, and just sort of handshake that they would sign with these guys once they graduated. The only thing that I can think of that might have been similar is with Reggie Bush, whose parents supposedly took money from a guy who was going to be his marketing manager once he came out, and they said, "Look, you don't know anything." They took his money, allegedly, but and in this case, it's bad. I mean, these guys are going to jail. Yeah, they're going to jail. I mean, it's not going to be like big boy jail. It's white collar jail, but it's jail.
Well, Pitino's been in trouble over the last few years anyway for improprieties in his
the prostitute, alleged prostitute ring and that sort of thing. And I think somebody put it best when saying, right on the heels of this, Pitino cannot come forward and say, "I had no idea about this." He may not have, and I'm almost certain he didn't know anything about this, or that a lot of this was being done behind his back, but he cannot come out and say this and expect to keep his job. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think. And we'll see. You know, this apparently has. In the NC2A was blindsided by this. So supposedly, they're saying that they've been blindsided by this. This was all the FBI that they were first learning about this, but everybody is cooperating with the FBI on these things. But it's much bigger. We know that
it can't just be 4 coaches.
We know that these AAU coaches and jackasses like LeVar Ball, there's shady stuff going on.
Sure.
With all of those sneaker deals and with these kids who are forsaking their high schools to play for these AAU teams, and that's all about money. That's all about money. It's all about putting money in the coaches' pockets and getting sneaker deals on their jackets and their training gear. And it's bigger than this, but this is where the FBI started, because these are apparently ironclad cases. They got them on tape taking money and saying what they would do for that money. Tony Bland from USC, is going up the river. He played at San Diego State, coached at San Diego State, and he's been an assistant coach for USC. And they arrested him in Florida while he was out on a recruiting trip. And
no comments from any of these guys who
not from these
accused.
guys, not from these guys, but USC has come out and said, we're cooperating fully. We knew nothing about it. Because this happened at least for USC, what I know, because this happened this summer, June, July timeframe, there's a possibility that they may be able to avoid and dodge some repercussions from this. I'm talking with a friend who's an attorney who said, if the parents and the kids might, can pay this money back, the kid might have to sit out a year. They might get suspended and that sort of thing. But it's not going to look good on any program that's involved.
How many kids are you talking about?
They said 10.
10, yeah.
They said at least in these indictments.
Yeah.
There were 10. Nobody's looking at the kids as the criminals here. They're victims, and they're going to probably be treated that way. It's the financial managers and those advisors. The name Christian Dawkins, Munish Sood, Rashawn Michelle, and then the coaches, Chuck Person, who played in the NBA, and then Lamont Evans, Emmanuel Richardson, and then Tony Bland from USC. It's not good.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not good. And those guys are likely going to jail.
Be interesting to see when this thing actually gets to court,
I don't think any of it's going to go to court. Frankly, I think these guys are just going to
They're done.
plead guilty.
Yeah.
They're on tape.
Yeah, no reason to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Boy, Patino, that would be a...
So it was Oklahoma State, Auburn, Arizona, and USC, and they're also talking about Louisville program. One of the kids was they reference payments of $100,000 from a company to the family of an unnamed player to secure his commitment to a school located in Kentucky, with an enrollment of 22,640. So, yeah, it's Louisville.
That nails that down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, that's
it's
sad.
It is. It really is. And the saddest thing about it is that anybody who believes that it's just these 4 guys,
There'll be more to come, I'm guessing.
Oh, gotta be. Yeah, I'm sure.
It's just scratching the surface. From what I've been listening to in sports radio, like an hour ago, they were already talking about there's more to come with it. So it's going to get real interesting.
Yeah, I know Jake, that at the high school level, baseball's a little different, but there are those kids who are playing with the travel ball teams. They're paying good money, and they're but those travel ball guys are making
careers out of it.
Yeah, careers, money, lots of money.
Mm-hmm.
Lots and lots of money, and they have to have some influence with those kids. I mean, here are these 17, 18-year-old kids,
right,
and they're looking over and going, "Hey, travel ball coach, Oregon State wants me. UCLA wants me. What should I do?" Mm-hmm. it's not always going to be an objective.
No.
You know, it's who's back have I, who's washing my back.
That's right.
And so that's, baseball, it's a little different. Basketball is, I mean, it's a racket.
Oh yeah. I mean, just with baseball, the last 5 years it's been crazy, and I mean, and you've been hearing, AAU basketball has, been worse, and I can't believe it. Just, from coaching, the last 5 years, I mean, it's, travel ball coaches are making, these travel ball teams a career now. Right. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, guys are, making close to $100,000 going, working 3 days a week, going to 3 different fields. I mean, it's just, and basically selling themselves and selling to the parents that they can, take their, little Johnny to the next level. But
that's right.
They can't, because one thing, college recruiters are going to talk to your high school coaches because they see, we see them every day. Right. These travel ball coaches are kind of, scammers a little bit, and they're going to, tell every recruiter what, they want to hear.
Yeah, but it's different at the AAU level.
Oh, yeah.
The AAU guys, I mean, it's different. I mean, I think that a lot of these colleges are probably looking to these AAU guys.
Oh, yeah.
And value their opinions above any of the high school coaches.
Probably.
Who,
Sure. Yeah.
And they have influence, and it wasn't, I think it's unrealistic to think that, these 4 guys are the only ones who had, that we're the only ones approached by these financial managers, by these Adidas guys. I mean, two Adidas guys have already lost their jobs. I don't know the names of them, but it's a big deal.
Wasn't it one Nike guy too? I was reading.
I think the one Nike guy might have been.
Was he in the clear?
Yeah, it was in the clear.
Okay.
There's 2 Adidas guys.
So how long has this thing been developing?
This summer.
Yeah, this summer. Then they just broke it today.
The one guy that they had in their pocket, who they had flipped. I don't know which guy that one is, but he was already in the FBI, and he was the one that they were sending out there to sort of trap these other guys.
Right.
To wear the wire and trap those those assistant coaches and all these other financial managers to get them to talk on on tape, and because that guy was already they had already been investigating this for years.
Right.
But these 4 guys, apparently these indictments are based on stuff that happened over the spring and summer, I think. And for specifically with Tony Bland from USC, it was all this summer, from June on. It might be the only thing that saves USC from some severe sanction.
Wow. Is
that he was doing this on his own his own time.
Well, school was out.
Yeah,
too.
School is out.
Yeah. Wow.
But who knows?
That's
who knows?
Yeah, exactly. All right, we got anything else? I think that'll do it. Again, I want to remind people to be on the show. Go to the website, click on the icon, send us your voicemail, and we'll respond the following week. That'll do it for today. I am out.
Good night.
Night.